America promised opportunity. But what happens when that promise starts to crack?
A vote for Trump is a vote for hate!
For generations, people have crossed deserts, oceans, and borders, chasing a dream that once felt limitless. They came with courage, with hope, and often with nothing left to lose. But that dream, it's shifting.
They rescinded our work permits. They've taken away all our opportunities.
Right now, the United States stands at a crossroads, pulled between compassion and control, between the ideal of opportunity and the politics of fear. I've spent months watching this unfold, at the border, inside shelters, and on the streets where the forgotten sleep, side by side with those already homeless in America. This isn't just about policies and talking points. It's about people and the kind of nation we've allowed ourselves to become.
Right now, we're all at the same risk of being deported, even though we made an official application.
The root causes of illegal immigration. I want to start by saying this plainly. Crossing into the United States without papers is not a choice anyone makes casually. I've met families who gambled everything, walking away from homes they'd known their entire lives because staying was even more dangerous. For decades, people from Central America, South America, and far beyond have come seeking safety, work, and the possibility of a future. They don't come for adventure or easy gain. They come because their neighborhoods are ruled by violence, their children go to bed hungry, and their communities are hit by crises their governments can't or won't control. I've seen people march across scorching deserts, wade through rivers, and put their fate in the hands of smugglers who promise protection but often bring them closer to danger. Many underestimate how brutal the journey will be, believing that determination alone will carry them through. But over and over, I've seen that it isn't recklessness driving them, it's desperation. When home becomes a place of violence, hunger, or hopelessness, even the most dangerous road can look like a lifeline. Why do they keep coming? Because hope, even fragile hope, is stronger than fear. But this story isn't only about the migrants themselves. It ripples outward across border communities. Schools stretch to fit more students. Hospitals strain to care for growing populations. Local police and first responders are pushed thin. People who live there feel that pressure in their daily lives. And I keep asking myself, do these real burdens mean we should close our hearts to those fleeing danger? Or does our humanity demand that we find a way to meet both reality and compassion at the same time? I think about the faces behind the statistics. The mother who leaves her children with relatives so she can try to secure a safer life for them. The teenager running from a gang that has turned their neighborhood into a battlefield. The father who risks everything so his kids can have the opportunities he never did. These are not the villains some speeches make them out to be. They are parents, dreamers, survivors. Their journey may be illegal on paper, but it's powered by survival, love, and a fragile hope for something better.
We've had money, but it goes towards the kids, right? Like right away. You know, kids need something, we get it. So we can't really necessarily buy things that could help us get out of the hole that we're in.
Watching it unfold, even through the lens of a documentary, I feel the weight of the choices they're forced into, and the responsibility that falls on all of us in how we respond. Trump's immigration policies. When I look at Trump's immigration policies, what I feel most is a mix of frustration and disbelief. Rules that were supposed to protect the nation often ended up trapping real people in impossible situations. I saw the headlines, heard the rally chants, but none of that prepared me for the human cost behind those words. The wall along the southern border became the most visible symbol, a physical barrier billed as security, but also a message of exclusion. It wasn't just steel and concrete, it was a line drawn between hope and denial. Families who believed they had a shot at starting fresh suddenly faced one more obstacle: legal, physical, and deeply emotional. Then came the Remain in Mexico policy. I can't shake the images of families forced to wait in makeshift camps, in border towns with scarce food, limited shelter, and little safety, while their asylum claims inched through a system that often felt indifferent. I've talked to people who said they spent months, even years, waiting in fear, having followed the rules, yet treated as though they'd done something wrong by asking for protection. Imagine complying with every requirement and still living with constant anxiety that tomorrow could bring violence, deportation, or separation from your children. The Trump administration also tightened visa rules, restricted work permits, and cast a long shadow over programs like DACA. I know young people who grew up here, kids who pledged allegiance in school, who speak English as their first language, suddenly wondering if the only home they've ever known would turn its back on them. Parents and children alike lived under a cloud, second-guessing every move. What kind of country lets that kind of fear hang over people who have done nothing but try to play by the rules? I saw a contradiction you can't grasp from numbers alone. While the administration argued that tougher enforcement would deter unlawful entry, I watched desperation push people toward even greater risks. Families crossed rivers, deserts, and fences, not because they didn't respect the law, but because the legal paths were blocked, broken, or hopelessly slow. Even those who chose legal routes often ended up in limbo, waiting for decisions that took years, never knowing if patience would be rewarded or punished. I can't separate these policies from their impact on real lives. The mothers, fathers, and children tangled in red tape are the ones who feel the full weight of political choices. They dreamed of safety, of work, of giving their children more than they had. Some fled conditions that could have led them to become homeless in America if they stayed trapped in the shadows. And in the shadow of strict enforcement, too many of those dreams were stalled, damaged, or shattered. Watching it all, I can't escape the feeling that we're seeing a nation wrestling with how to balance law and compassion. And in that struggle, countless lives are left hanging in the balance. The current state of illegal immigration. Even in 2025, under Trump's administration, the flow of people trying to enter the United States without authorization hasn't stopped. In some places, it's grown even more intense. Every day, I hear about families walking for miles, teenagers traveling alone, parents doing everything humanly possible to keep their kids safe from the dangers they left behind. These aren't abstract figures, they're real lives, full of fear, hope, and determination. Yet too often they get reduced to sound bites, headlines, and political talking points. I've watched border communities live under constant pressure. Shelters overflow, schools scramble to make room for new students, and hospitals operate at the breaking point. Families sleep in tents, in cars, or crowded rooms. Children go without basics most of us take for granted. Local resources are stretched thin. Policies designed to clamp down on illegal immigration collide with the raw desperation that drives people north. People don't stop coming because the fence is taller or the law is tougher. They come because what waits at home is unthinkable, hunger, violence, and chaos push them forward, no matter the risk. And the struggle doesn't end at the border. Many migrants move on to cities far away, searching for jobs, housing, and a stable life. There, a new set of challenges begins. Rent is high, affordable housing is scarce, and social services are overwhelmed. Even those who arrive with documents and follow the rules can get stuck in red tape, waiting months or years for basic approvals. Some eventually lose everything and end up on the streets, joining the growing number of homeless in America, a stark reminder of how policy failures and personal hardship intertwine. I keep asking myself, how can a nation built on opportunity allow such a deep disconnect to remain? How do we talk about law, security, and order while so many human lives sit in limbo, exposed, anxious, and unsure of their place? Every migrant carries a story, a reason for coming, and a fragile belief that America might still offer them a chance, even if the system is slow or unforgiving. And despite everything, their courage is undeniable. Families keep coming, walking for days, crossing rivers, deserts, and checkpoints, driven by something stronger than fear. Hope that their children will sleep without hearing gunfire. Hope that their families will survive. Hope that they'll find a corner of this country where their dreams aren't always just out of reach. Watching all this, it's impossible to ignore that any honest conversation about illegal immigration has to start with people, not just walls, laws, or statistics. Behind every crossing, every number on a chart, there's a life on the line. And too often, those lives end up counted among the homeless in America, a painful measure of how far our systems fall short. Social and economic consequences. The effects of immigration reach far beyond the border fence. I've seen entire communities stretched thin, small towns in Texas, Arizona, and California doing their best to welcome families who arrive with nothing but hope and maybe a small bag of belongings. Local hospitals fill up, clinics run out of supplies, schools struggle to give each child the attention they need. These aren't just statistics, they're lives being reshaped in ways that strain both the newcomers and the neighbors who were there long before. What hits me hardest is how invisible many of these impacts are. While politicians argue on TV, the real costs show up in small, quiet battles. Families who arrive with legal status may still end up in overcrowded, unsafe, or wildly expensive temporary housing. Young parents juggle multiple jobs and still can't keep up with rent, transportation, and childcare. Kids bounce from school to school, sometimes learning in hallways or improvised classrooms, carrying the weight of uncertainty on their shoulders. For many, this life puts them one step away from joining the ranks of the homeless in America, a reality that rarely gets mentioned when policy is debated. Rural communities feel it in a different but equally intense way. They don't have the same safety nets as big cities, so one family in crisis can overwhelm resources meant for many. I've walked through towns where volunteers try their best to fill the gaps, yet the distance between what's needed and what's available is painfully clear. It raises a hard question. Is it fair to expect local communities to absorb the fallout of global problems, war, poverty, environmental collapse that started thousands of miles away? Beyond budgets and capacity, there's a social cost you can't measure with numbers alone. Migrants often live with isolation, prejudice, and constant uncertainty. Everyday tasks, shopping, going to work, taking a child to school, are shadowed by fear. Fear of judgment, fear of discrimination, fear of legal trouble. Stress, anxiety, depression, and trauma grow quietly behind closed doors. Children raised in this climate carry burdens they never chose, missing chances that others barely notice they have. When I sit with all of this, I can't help but ask, what does it say about a country that prides itself on freedom and opportunity, yet allows so many new arrivals to slip into hardship, invisibility, and in some cases, becoming homeless in America? Each family, each person, is more than a file or a case number. They are human beings trying to rebuild a life in a place that promises safety and a fresh start, but too often delivers struggle, confusion, and fear. Their strength is enormous. Their resilience is extraordinary. And their stories deserve not just to be heard, but to move us, to empathy, to honesty, and to real action. Political responses and public debate. Talking about immigration in the United States is like walking straight into a storm. Every word feels loaded. Every opinion feels heavy. And the real people at the center of it all often disappear in the noise. I've listened to voices on every side. Some insist that strict enforcement is the only way to protect jobs, maintain order, and keep neighborhoods safe. Others say the laws themselves ignore a deeper reality, that these are human beings escaping danger, trying to survive, and they deserve compassion as much as caution. Under Trump's leadership, that tension has been sharper than ever. Speeches and policies focus on control, deterrence, and borders, while the human fallout unfolds quietly in the background. I've seen families waiting in shelters and crowded public spaces, not knowing if tomorrow will bring a chance, a deportation notice, or a forced separation. Children ask questions their parents can't answer. Every new form, hearing, or delay feels like another brick added to a wall they can't climb. The political debates on TV can feel distant from all this, but their consequences land quickly, visibly, and often painfully. This conversation isn't just political, it's deeply moral. People across the country are asking hard questions. How do we secure our borders without losing our values? How do we enforce the law without turning away those who are vulnerable? How do we acknowledge the challenges of immigration while still honoring our shared humanity? And just as importantly, how do we keep well-meaning policies from leading to unintended tragedies, including more families slipping into poverty or becoming homeless in America? These are not theoretical puzzles. They cut to the heart of what kind of society we want, one that values both justice and mercy.
Everybody partakes.
I've met volunteers, attorneys, and social workers who live inside this tension every single day. They open their homes, their workplaces, and their hearts to families in crisis, often doing more than the system itself manages to provide. They offer temporary beds, legal guidance, and medical referrals. But they also offer something less visible, a sense of dignity, hope, and proof that someone still sees them as human. Even with all their dedication, the need is enormous. Resources are stretched, and for every family helped, many others are still waiting, struggling, and unseen. What stays with me is the resilience on both sides, the grit of families chasing a safer life, and the determination of those trying to support them. It's a reminder that immigration is not just a policy question, it's a human one. Decisions made in Washington, on debate stages or inside courtrooms, ripple out into kitchens, schools, shelters, and streets across the country. Every rule, every headline, carries consequences that can't be captured only in charts or polls. These are children who deserve safety, parents who deserve hope, and families who deserve the chance to build a life. Watching this unfold, I keep coming back to one thought. A nation's strength is not measured only by its borders or its laws, but by how well it balances fairness with compassion, enforcement with empathy, and security with humanity. Until we find that balance, the argument will go on, and the people living with its outcomes will remain in the shadows, waiting for a country that sees them not as a problem to manage, but as lives worth protecting. Conclusion and reflection. When I think about immigration, I think about the people behind the paperwork, those waking up every day with uncertainty, navigating long lines, confusing rules, and endless waits. Some follow every legal step, only to discover the system works against them. Others risk deserts and borders, seeking safety, opportunity, and a chance at life. Too many still end up struggling, sometimes becoming part of the homeless in America. It's easy to debate laws, but the reality is deeply human. Families fear separation. Children carry stress they can't explain. Parents work tirelessly, yet face unstable futures. These stories show that rules alone can't address the forces driving migration. Leaving everything behind takes immense courage. I see that strength in students chasing education, parents working multiple jobs, and families pushing through danger together. But when systems fail them, the consequences are harsh. Lost opportunities, broken families, and deeper hardship. As a nation, we must decide whether we can enforce our laws while honoring the humanity of those seeking hope.
Cardboard for the night. Cybertruck giving out food.